The quarterfinals, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We are getting so close to the end of the day already. It's gone by so quickly, but with so many good players playing so many good games, it's understandable why. I'm Rifkin, joined today by Zombie Grub, and let's just hop right into the introductions for the Iem Katowice Qualifiers. Spawning in the top right from CJ Entis, the Korean Zerg player known as Hydra.
And in the bottom left, as the blue Zerg player, it is Solar from Samsung Galaxy.
Now, a bit of a joke. I don't know whether he was completely serious or smack talking, but you know, Solar. I asked him like, how do you feel about coming up against Hydra, and he's not even worried. He says, talks about Hydra's like win-loss record in Pro League, and just seems really smug about himself. But let's be honest, guys. ZVZ is one of the few matchups where it doesn't matter how good you are. If you eat a bad baneling, you could easily lose that game. So I'm very excited to see who's going to take this one home. Of course, another best of 3 in the quarterfinals. And yeah, this is only one person from today can advance, which is kind of, it's sad, quite frankly. With so many good players, your heart will be broken at some point by somebody.
Okay, sorry. I actually want to talk about the map a little bit. So Yansu is actually well known for being kind of an aggressive map, which is why I'm always surprised when 15 hatches go down. As you can see, Hydra did go for the earlier hatch, which is what I would have expected. Of course, no one's... What?
Solar?
Oh, I mean pool. Earlier pool.
Oh, okay.
Which is what I expected. But it always seems to happen. Honestly, God, like more times than not, I'm casting someone a game in ZVZ that's like both players just not going the same build. In PvP, it happens all the time, like the same build down to like the 8-minute mark. But in ZVZ, it's always one person decides to go 15 hatch and the other one goes to the 15 pool.
Well, one thing I do like about this matchup is, we see Hydra currently playing Gasless, so is Solar, but we'll see how long that lasts. Of course, you really typically only play the Gasless style if you're expecting a lot of aggression to come your way early on. And while it's weird to consider that we might not have a lot of experience seeing these players duke it out time in and time out, but as Solar mentioned, you know, there's Pro League going on, there's the Korean ladder. I'm positive these two have probably played each other in the past. Now, whether that gives away their aggression levels is a whole nother question altogether. I personally, I think Hydra is going to have to deal with roaches coming from Solar. Or maybe even Mutalisk, but I don't see Solar going for that big early Zergling dive. Not because of the lack of gas, but more so just because that's not who he is.
Well, the lack of gas for both players definitely points to more of a mid-game oriented style for both players. Yeah. It's actually funny. I don't think I've ever seen both players go for the gasless style. But they're actually coincidentally both going for it.
It kind of makes sense though, right? Like, you're coming up for such an important qualifier. You want to play the first game as safe as possible. And gasless is kind of the closest you get to fortifying yourself in. Like, it's weird to consider that, but I mean, what other build involves extra queens and a spine crawler, right?
I guess so. I really feel like there are some people who really want to, they can't exploit it, but it is actually a lot safer than most people would believe in the hands of professionals. That is, I see some like, you know, Diamond or Masters do it sometimes, and they just don't know how to handle it. That won't matter here because neither player is going to be aggressive. But you know, things like a really good wall, good use of your queens and blocking, and of course your timings down to a T are important when doing gasless.
Well, no longer gasless. Both players finishing up their geysers at pretty much the exact same timing. And going to be taking lots of gas. The main difference though, Solar's taking is at the natural rather than the main. I love when players do this, because this does mean the natural is going to mine out significantly faster than the main. And to be honest, later on in the game when it gets hectic, when there's Mutalisk sniping off bases and roaches hitting there here and there, like, your safest geysers are going to be the ones in your main. And if these expire first, well, it's not really going to come into play until like 20 minutes later, but still, it's nice to know that these are going to be lasting you a little bit longer than, say, the natural would.
Yeah. Both getting Roach Warrens down at the exact same time as well as gas. We do have 2 Evo chambers. Oh no, actually just one each.
You know what though? I just realized this isn't like your average ZVZ. This is like your super Korean ZVZ. And it's in these rare occasions we may actually get to see tunneling claws come into effect. It's really not popular in Europe or North America, but it is something you do see quite often on the Korean scene.
That's a really good point. I guess I have not been able to cast too many like pure Korean ZVZs, so I forget to mention it. But you're right. I know that Suppy was talking about how actually the last patch when I think Telling Clause is going to be changed, he was like, I think it's going to make it like it's already being used so much in the Korean server, then I think we're going to see it a lot more. I don't know if these players are the ones that are going to try and do it. I think Solar would be more than Hydra, but
You know, it seems silly that he's investing in a lot of Lings right now, guys, but these are actually going to be fantastic early on. Lings without upgrades nakedly will, well, trade versus low amounts of roaches, get us round off and kill them. More importantly, they'll be cannon fodder for when when Hydra finally gets his roaches out. But Hydra coming across the map, thinking he can get a couple queens for free, unfortunately not going to be the case. His army supply is not anything close to matching that of Solar's, but of course, when Defender's Advantage comes into effect, he may just have the roaches he needs. But for now, this is actually looking really scary for Hydra, if we're going to be honest.
yeah, Hydra was actually pretty supply blocked. Just now, 3 Overlords popped out, so now he's like spamming the Roach button as he realizes this is a push that I might not be able to defend, and that should be a little worrying. Hydra's +1 missile attack might not finish well.
He's not going to get this round. He needs to surround the Roaches. There you go. Now starts to get a bit of a surround. Going to do some damage. The Roaches pop out. The Zerglings on hold position in the mineral line. Should be able to hold, but there's 2 Queens from Solar that walked across the map while this is going on, and I gotta be honest, Zombie Grub, this is looking pretty grim for Hydra. This is a very quick death he's gonna be suffering.
Yeah, looks like it. You know, I think he's gonna hold off, but he's losing so many drones, and Solar is actually not stopping. Behind this, he is getting a 3rd, but he's still producing a lot of Lings.
Yeah.
Just now starting to actually drone up as he realizes the attack has lost a lot of its power, but I think it did a good job.
Surprisingly, Solar didn't kill that many workers off of this, though. It was mostly an army value killing. Now he's not exactly got the biggest army value. A flood of Lings isn't going to get the surround he wants inside the base of Hydra. I gotta be honest, I'm a little shocked he held that so well. That should have been a ton of workers killed between the whole position in the mineral line and the pull on top of the Hydra, the Roaches.
Yeah.
So props to Hydra.
To
That's a good hold.
Yeah, of course, Solar still got the benefit of, you know, he still has more drones, although not that much, and he got that 3rd up. Oh, sorry, Hydra actually got it during that time, too. Maybe it would have been better had Solar just gone for the 3rd. I don't know, but it actually turns out to be a rather pretty even game after that attack. Can Solar defend this 3rd? Where are the Roaches?
Yeah, they're coming, but not exactly en masse. There's Lings in here too. They're going to add to the cannon fodder, add a little bit of DPS to this too, but Solar, you're right. Like, he just doesn't have the roach count he really needs right now. And a lot of them were thrown away in that initial attack. That huge lead he had dissipated quickly, and now will his defender's advantage be enough is going to be the question. Looks like no. Wow, that game turned around in a moment. You know,
I guess the attack is like, you know, he actually gave away everything to it. Hydra actually had stuff left over, and that was the counterattack's gonna be strong.
Well, let's go ahead and get the next map up. We're gonna have Solar Frost next.